Released in the arcades in 1998, Alpha 3 or Zero 3 is the third installment of the Alpha series that ran on Capcom's CP2 hardware arcade as the previous Alpha games. The fact that this was the final stage of the Alpha series that took everything from the previous game and made it the ultimate package. In that same year, the Sega Saturn and PlayStation received a port of the game alongside the following century saw ports for the Sega Dreamcast, PlayStation 2, the PlayStation Portable and the Game Boy Advance. If you can believe that, but someone was crazy enough to do it. And as you know guys, like always, is the game any good? Let's find out. So, gameplay. Alpha 3 has 3 different play styles based on your choice of play whilst ditching manual and auto blocking, but also maintaining turbo when selecting a character. The play styles consist of Aism, which is based on the previous Alpha games, which has 3 levels of the super combo gauge, which allows players to have access to several special moves while still having access to air blocking and Alpha counters. Xism is based on Street Fighter 2 Turbo, in which the player has access to a single level combo gauge and 1 special move. However, when playing Xism, player cannot air block or perform Alpha counters as it focuses more on attack rather than defense. Vism is a unique style that allows the player to perform more custom combos similar to the ones in Street Fighter Alpha 2. However, it is very different to Alpha 2. Instead of pushing 2 kicks and 1 punch, or 2 punches and 1 kick, this time you can activate it by pushing punch and kick of the same strength. However, you cannot use super combos, and once you activate it, it will slowly drain, and once it's drained, it will recharge. Once activated, you can do a plethora of combo attacks to your needs. Alpha 3 also introduces the guard gauge, which depletes when the player blocks, and once it is depleted, the opponent is open to more attacks. You know, the only way I can only describe this is similar to a guard crush from Garo Mark of the Wolves. As for the controllers, they are still the same nonetheless, 6 buttons each assigned to punch and kick of different strengths, ranging from weak, middle, heavy. As for the controls, they are still the same nonetheless, 6 buttons each assigned to a punch and kicks of different strength, being light, medium and heavy. The modes are more there to offer for replayability factor, such as World Tour mode, dramatic battle and survival, as well as the standard arcade versus and practice. Graphically, it still feels like Alpha 2, but however there's more focus on animation in this port, which is really nice because I don't mind the ports I play on the PlayStation, but when you see animation has been cut just to save memory, it feels kind of lazy to an extent. And as for certain sprites being the hit sprites, they are replaced with polygons, which uses a lot of memory. And as for the music, my god, this music is so good. I can't even describe this. I can't even do this justice. I'm just going to let a few samples play, just so you can hear what I hear, and tell me I am not making this up. This is probably the best music soundtrack of a fighting game in the 90s to ever exist. Trust me, Capcom knows this standard. They knew what they were doing. They wanted to get us hyped. They weren't making this up. This shit is fire. And finally, the roster boasts 35, that's right, 35, which is 6 more than the roster on the arcade version. And also returning to the roster are the previous mentions from everyone in Alpha 2, alongside with new additions being E Honda, Balrog, Cammy, Guile, Vega, Blanca, DJ, Fei Long and T-Hawk from the Street Fighter 2 games. Also coming to the roster is Cody from Final Fight and some new additions like Junie, Julie, Karin, Evil Ryu and Shin Akuma. Now, is the game any good? Yes. Just yes. This is probably the most definitive way to play Alpha in any way, and also there is a lot here that has to offer. I really can't say anymore because I have had more fun in any 2D fighter than most, and even though Street Fighter 2 Alpha is my favourite game of the Alpha series, Alpha 3 is up there in second place, even if it is the more refined version of this series. Even with all the modes added, you will spend a good portion unlocking everything and playing the game as much as you can. All I can say is if you have a PlayStation, the pricing for a game can go up from 10 quid just for the disc alone, up to 20 for a complete game in the box. And like always, if you don't have a PlayStation and you're only relegated to modern platforms or PC, Street Fighter 35th Collection is your best bet. However, the only downside to that is you won't have all the modes like the PlayStation version, as it will just be mostly relegated to arcades. Anyway, that does it for now. I've been Saku. Remember to like, comment and subscribe if you choose to. Anyway, 2D month is over. Fuck off.